Right now we're going to go into, Frank, what we like to call the worst pick of the week. And I believe you have a few candidates for this.
I think, there was two on the board. I think the way things worked out was Giants, Vikings, Giants, laying a touchdown.
Now, I'm going to disagree with you there on the Giants-Vikings game because that's a game where, to play devil's advocate for you, can you forecast turnovers, 3 picks, return for a touchdown?
You can't predict that, and really, what you couldn't predict? You couldn't predict the margin of victory. I think there were some people that were on the Vikings, though. I mean, there's people on the Vikings. That's why I wouldn't say it was the worst pick of the week, because there were people on the Vikings.
Correct.
You can't predict the Vikings that went outright by 30 points. You can't predict 4 interceptions by Eli Manning and terrible sacks and 3 pick, like you said, return for touchdowns. But what you can predict is horrible weather, a horrible field, a stadium where they play high school championship games every year on a Friday.
Plus a Pittsburgh-South Florida game on Saturday.
And you kind of leaked it there. Steelers, Dolphins, Monday night. Now, there were a lot of people that have been riding the Steelers all year long. One guy in particular, we're not going to mention any names.
Who had a 50-dimer on this game, but again, we will not mention any names.
Big play of the
on
week.
This game.
Had a movie made about him. He's kind of known around the world. I guess he doesn't have the ability.
McConaughey.
He doesn't have the ability to check the internet or go to weather.com or maybe AccuWeather.
Any mode of communication to find the weather forecast for that game.
I believe, if I remember correctly, his predicted score was 38-13. You know how many points they fell short of that prediction right there?
I'm not a math major,
Is that
Frank,
52 points he predicted in that game?
51. I think it's 51.
51.
Points, Frank,
yeah, that's why I'm not a math major either. But everybody knows how many points were scored in that game.
3-0
3 points.
Game.
And they scored 3 points with 17 seconds left in the game.
And this is what I was talking about. Guys who have a fair Sunday who are chasing Monday night games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you have this weather that was in Pittsburgh was going on Saturday. It's going on Sunday. They replaced the turf. Everyone knows they replaced the turf. Everyone
and the
knows
history of the field is a bad field.
Exactly.
And he didn't take that into consideration in his report.
Now, I would say this, in this unnamed tout's defense, that information is out there for everyone else too. That information is out there for the point spread player. But the point spread player is not...
The gambler pays the tout for
that is true. That is true. We're not paid professionals supposed to take all this into consideration. We don't have, as the point spread player, you don't have time to sit there and analyze every single game, especially when there's only one game on the board that's supposed to be his job for that day.
All we wanted the town to do was one thing: be on the right side of that game.
Yeah, but clearly, and
I don't like a tout who's going to chase Monday night. I want honesty.
You know what? I'll take honesty too, and I'll take just do your job, know about the weather. That's really it. We are lucky this week to be joined by the first of our fans of the week, sort of a rant section for some of you point spread players out there. And this week's caller is Rich from Dover. Rich, how's it going?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey Rich.
We're
Rich,
good.
How are you?
I'm pissed.
What's the problem, Rich?
The goddamn game on Monday night, Pittsburgh, Miami.
Okay. Who'd you have, Rich? Pittsburgh?
I had Pittsburgh and I had the over on a parlay.
Rich, I'm going to be honest with you. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Rich, let me ask you this: How did you come to the decision to take Pittsburgh, lay the 16, and take the over?
It's a lock. It was a lock, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm not paying up on the bet.
Don't pay the man, Rich. Don't pay the man.
Rich, what do you mean you're not paying up on the bet? I assume that you bet with we like to call a bookie.
Well, yeah, let's call them that.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, they had no business playing that game with the field condition the way it was. It was an embarrassment. I mean, you don't go out there without numbers and letters painted on the field, all the stuff washed off the field, in a soaking wet field where you can't score, you can't do anything, you can't kick the ball. Nobody knows that before the game. You can't do that.
Rich, are you familiar with weather.com? I mean, you do look at the weather forecast, don't you?
I look at the weather forecast, but I had no idea that the field was going to be in such lousy condition.
I think Rich is basically saying he doesn't live in Pittsburgh. He's not there.
Listen, Rich, we want to thank you for joining us in the inaugural segment of Fan Rant of the Week. And just for replying, you're going to get a $20 gift certificate to your favorite steakhouse.
I appreciate it.
And also, why don't you stick around, Rich? We're going to join in.
Let me tell you something. $20 don't even buy a drink at my favorite steakhouse.
So thanks, everybody, for stopping by. It was a great show. A lot of good games last week, a lot of information. What we have in the coming weeks, real briefly, we want emails. We want some fan rants. We want you guys to give us some feedback on what we're doing. Talk to us about your gambling experiences. Talk to us about your wins and your losses. We're going to have a little fan versus tout segment. Hopefully that'll be entertaining for you guys. And basically, we're just looking for a little viewer input. Hopefully make this thing entertaining for everybody in the weeks coming.
Frank, again, great working with you. What I hope is the first of many great shows
Indeed.
for the gambler.
Take care.